We have our third starter set here for D&D, Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, and many thanks to Wizards of the Coast for sending it our way. And along with it, we have our set of PC minis from WizKids for the starter set, and many thanks to them for sending these our way to review. And these minis may look a little bit familiar to folks who grew up in the 80s. So today we're going to talk about both of them and see if this is a worthy follow-up to the older starter sets. If you followed me for a while, you know that I love the original starter set featuring the town of Phandalin. That was my on-ramp to D&D. And like all of my videos, you can use a timeline below me to skip around. I am going to start by going over the mini set, but if you're more interested in the starter box for now, run your mouse along the timeline below me to skip directly to that part of the video. So today, let's take a magical voyage to see the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle. Before we jump in, y'all, it is November and we have to start our holiday shopping now. We are so fortunate that our sponsor, Hit Point Press, also happens to make some of my absolute favorite TTRPG products, and they have a great Black Friday sale going on all month long. Today I'm giving you the big picture so you can get your shopping started. Tarot-sized D&D reference cards, you can get non-animated decks for just $10, and that's loads of monsters and conditions and NPCs and weapons and the deck of many things. They have 10% off of Humblewood products, including the book, the box set, and the minis. I freaking love Humblewood. There's 10% off the low-level animated spell reference cards, 10% off the gorgeous Griffin Saddleback book and reference cards for amazing new magical items for your 5e games. And did you know that they sold mini STL bundles so you can print their minis right at home? They have a ton of Humblewood and Heckna minis for 10% off this month. And on top of that, you can use the code BF2022 to get an additional 5% off of your order of $50 or more. It is time to stock up for yourself and your loved ones. Check out the Hit Point Press store at the links below the video to start your holiday shopping today, and let me know what you decide to pick up. The Dragons of Stormwreck Isle box comes with a 48-page adventure book, a 32-page rulebook, 5 pre-gen characters, each with their own double-sided character sheet, and a set of 6 dice. Let's start out with our pre-gen characters and check out this mini set. Starting with our technically unnamed Paladin. Viewers of a certain age may recognize these characters from the old Dungeons & Dragons cartoon, which ran on CBS from 1983 to 1985. The Paladin was based on Eric the Cavalier. Like all of the minis in this set, it is completely fine, if nothing particularly special. I think this set's really going to sell mostly on nostalgia. I'll show you the character sheets in a bit because, friends, we gotta talk. Next, we have the Cleric, who I don't actually recognize from the cartoon, but somehow when I was a kiddo, I never actually saw it. I was too into He-Man and She-Ra and the Super Friends, clearly. So if you recognize her, let me know in the comment section down below. This is one of the better minis in the set, though, very Cleric-y, with a mace and a spell effect. An interesting pose, too, even if it looks like she may be in the process of breaking her leg. But here's where we start to run into problems. The Cleric character sheet included in the starter box is for a hill dwarf. The Wizard mini, though, this one is just fun. I love it. It's based on Presto from the show, and if you're wanting to play a young Harry Potter-style wizard, then there's no better mini than this. I'm gonna be honest, to me, this set is pretty much worth it for this mini alone. I want to roleplay this character going on adventures. It would also make for a great starter mini for a campaign that you could switch out at higher levels for something more impressive as the character advances. The Wizard character sheet is for a high elf, which okay, I guess you can have a high elf with glasses. The fourth mini is a fighter, and it's one of the most classic bog standard minis I have seen. But it's based on Hank the Ranger from the cartoon, and it's a faithful adaptation, so I'm fine with it. The character sheet fighter is a wood elf, so that's fine. And it does feature a longbow plus a greatsword. If you did watch the show, by the way, which character was your favorite? Lastly, we have our Rogue, based on Diana from the show, happily updated from her fur bikini. The Rogue character sheet is for a Lightfoot halfling, so there is that. It also doesn't include a bow staff. Instead, it has a dagger and a short bow. But the mini itself is good. We don't have a ton of melee fighting minis with a staff, so this may be a good one to have in your collection. And here are all the minis together. Speaking strictly as a mini set, unconnected to the starter box, it's fine. If you're a big fan of the cartoon, this set is probably going to hold a special place in your heart. Otherwise, it might come down to whether you like that wizard as much as I do, or if you really need a female melee fighter with a bow staff. The other ones aren't particularly special, frankly. But it's kind of unbelievable that the minis don't match the character sheets, especially when you consider that this mini set isn't just something that WizKids came up with on their own. These characters are featured on the cover, in the interior art, and in the promotional content for the starter set. There are little sketches of the pre-gen characters on the backs of their sheets that do match the character described on the sheets, but definitely not these minis or the characters in the book or the box art. It's like the character sheets were just pulled from some other product line altogether. Apart from that disparity, the character sheets are very good. They look like standard D&D character sheets, so folks can later go and make their own, and they're full of useful, newbie-friendly information. For example, attacks don't just list the modifiers and the range and the damage, it walks you through what to do. For example, your shortbow says, you can shoot your shortbow at a target up to 80 feet away or up to 320 feet with disadvantage on the attack roll. Roll 1d20 plus 5 to see if you hit. If you do, the target takes 1d6 plus 3 piercing damage. It could not be easier. These are great character sheets for new players. You just need to bring your own dwarf, cleric, and halfling rogue minis. The dice are pretty standard, but they're perfectly nice and readable. There's no D percentile die though, which is a little disappointing. I guess they gotta cut their costs where they can. The starter rulebook is very well laid out with all that art inspired by the cartoon characters like I mentioned. It's very easy to read, very easy to reference, with a detailed table of contents right on the cover, and it includes equipment and a selection of spells. The back cover lists your conditions and their effects for easy reference. I learned D&D from a very similar rulebook in the original starter set, and frankly these booklets are much better than having to learn from the Dungeon Master's Guide. This is approachable, readable, and not overwhelming. The adventure itself, when compared to the Lost Mine of Fendelver, is more self-contained. It is designed for 4 players and it all takes place on one island, so you don't really have to worry about your players wandering off to a place you haven't prepped for. There's a central area where your players will set up camp on an island, and from there is a small sandbox adventure where they can go on a number of quests. The island itself is an ancient graveyard for dragons, so the area teems with draconic energy which brings in other dragons and other things looking to harness the power for themselves. It's also the home of a cloister known as Dragon's Rest, a group of people looking for a safe haven from violence. I don't think the real estate agent did a great job of checking the history of the property though. The heroes show up each with a personal goal that is tied to the adventure and is listed on their character sheets, and I love that the characters have these personal motivations for an adventure, and it's really helpful for a new game master when they don't have to come up with those themselves. There are 3 main quests that the PCs will go on in the adventure. They'll venture into some caves near the shore to investigate what happened to a colony of myconids, or mushroom folk, who used to trade with the colony. They'll venture into a cursed shipwreck to figure out why the island is now just teeming with an undead infestation. And finally, they'll visit a magical observatory to look into the disappearance of a bronze dragon wormling. Everything in here is great. It's all well written, fun, engaging, and it captures the feeling of the D&D game that I want to impart on someone in their first game. I want my game to feel as different from a video game as possible. I am not leading my players by the hand from level 1 to level 2 to level 3. They are not out collecting MacGuffins or going on fetch quests or anything like that, or killing 10 sloths. They have the freedom to go where they want and approach problems in novel ways, problems that require some nuance and some creative thinking. When we compare it to the Lost Mine of Fendelver, this set, as I mentioned, is smaller in scale. It is more self-contained, and that is going to make it easier for brand new game masters to run. So if you're looking to get into game mastering in the least challenging way possible, this set's going to serve you well. My only real criticism is that this box doesn't necessarily give you anywhere to go when you finish. The Lost Mine of Fendelver takes place on the Sword Coast, and at the end of that module, you're given guidance on connecting that story to a number of other pre-written 5e adventures, making it easy to continue your story. In fact, I have a whole host of suggestions on how to connect the Fendelver adventure to Storm King's Thunder that you can check out in that video in the eye up there. that is one of my favorite videos, to be honest. And this book doesn't really do that, which is a shame. Now, there is another starter set that I've never gotten around to really checking out. The Essentials Kit contains more stuff like a map and reference cards and a little DM screen. They also expanded that story out on D&D and Beyond into like an entire campaign. At some point, I'll do a video comparing all three sets. I think the Dragons of Stormwreck Isle here is going to probably be my least favorite of the set, though again, it is a good adventure, and it is a good starting place for folks who are brand new. What the hell happened with the character sheets, though, is beyond me. The D&D Starter Set Dragons of Stormwreck Isle is available now everywhere you buy games for 20 bucks, which is a great deal. I am glad that they've been able to keep these starter sets at a cheap price, so I think there's probably folks out there just impulse buying these after seeing them on the shelves at Target and Walmart. And this set previously was a Target exclusive, but now you can get it anywhere. And Icons of the Realms Dragons of Stormwreck Isle, right here, the mini set, is coming soon for between 25 and 30 bucks, which is a little bit cheaper than some of our mini sets lately. So let me know what you think about these in the comments section down below, and don't forget to check out the Black Friday sales happening right now over at Hit Point Press. They have so many awesome products that would make excellent gifts, especially if you have new D&D players in your life. Those links are down below. Don't forget the code BF2022 to get an additional 5% off your order, and remember that every purchase you make using our links helps keep our channel alive. I do honestly love that we have several options now for getting into D&D these days. As far as I can tell, they are all still in stock as well. Phandalin, though, from that original set is always going to have a special place in my heart. But be sure you're subscribed here so you don't miss out any of our upcoming reviews and coverage. I think Dragonlance is on its way to us right now as we film this, so I probably should have it by the time you're watching this. So subscribe so you can come see our Dragonlance content. You can come chat with us on Discord, and you can always find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. If you want to pre-order some cool Kobold plushies here, check out koboldplush.com. Until next time, though, stay safe, have fun, love each other, and I will see you next time at the Gallant Goblin.